Right now, we want to turn, though, if we could, to Dr. Peter Morici from the University of Maryland. You know, they always say that, when it comes to economists, you don't...
Smart guys, man.
Yeah, but you need a one-armed economist. You know that?
One-armed?
Yeah, one-armed economist, because then you don't have an economist say, but on the other hand... sorry.
I don't think Maurici's ever done it. He's a good man.
No, he gives it to you straight. Dr. Peter Morici is on the line. Hello, Dr. Morici. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine.
So listen, yesterday in the House of Representatives, by a vote of 334 to, I think it was 62 or 92.
94.
94. You're right. I'm sorry. 334 to 94. Overwhelmingly. They passed this compromise budget deal that was put up by Paul Ryan. A lot of conservatives look at it and they didn't like it. Where are you on this?
Well, I think it was what was possible, and it's more than just a budget deal. Consider what was left off the table, long-term unemployment benefits, something the Republicans have been wanting to get rid of for quite some time. They're likely gone now, because in order for the Democrats to bring them back, they're going to have to come up with $25 billion a year to fund them, and that's just not going to happen outside this deal. So unless the Republicans do something foolish on the debt ceiling, I think they've gotten themselves out of this situation pretty well. Certainly we all would have liked better long-term deficit reduction on the conservative side, but you have to remember that Mr. Boehner is just not the standard bearer that Newt Gingrich was. He's just not. I mean, there he is, quarreling with the Tea Party for criticizing the deal, for not reading it. Well, golly, I've read it. You try to understand it. It's a mess. It's just terrible. I've been to this, to the congressman's website and all that business. It's terrible to read. And we all knew what was going to be in the deal before it came down. I mean, he was rushing to support it before he read it. So my feeling is that the deal was two things. It reflected good, sound pragmatism. And on the other hand, it showed that really what troubles the Tea Party, what's troublesome about the Tea Party to both Republicans and Democrats, it's threatening to incumbents. The president is also targeting the Tea Party with his IRS reforms. That's just nothing but a veiled round two of nail the Tea Party.
So, Professor, let me ask you this. Where does this go next? It gets to the Senate. Number one, how big a deal will it be in the Senate? I think it will pass. The question is, will it have show the same kind of momentum that it got out of the House? And then what? As you go into next year, does it take a lot of stuff off the table for Republicans on the economic front, so you don't have to deal with the dance of crazy around, shutting down the government? Where do you see this thing playing out longer term? Does this put stuff off for another year, or there's more stuff to come?
Well, it's up to the Republicans. If they just pass a budget ceiling, a debt ceiling bill clean and take it off the table, they're smart. And focus on the Affordable Care Act and let the president come to them on immigration. I think Rubio's got it right. Let them come to him on immigration because I think if you put those two things together, I mean, the heart of the immigration situation is you give me normalization of these immigrants that are in the country, and I promise you I will close the border. I promise you with this president, it doesn't mean a lot.
Right. Yeah,
and they can use all those promises in the Affordable Care Act that, you basically, you're going to close the border, and I got to keep my doctor, my insurance,
right,
my
exactly.
rates would go down. Right. Pinocchio, I'm sorry, every time you turn your head, your nose bangs on a door frame.
Well, and to that front, you're talking about Obamacare, of course. They keep trying to put lipstick on the pig, and they keep trying to patch it and fix it. At what point are there so many patches and fixes and so much lipstick on this pig that you just simply have to say, you know what, we need to come up with a different approach?
Well, how much vanity and hubris does Barack Obama have? Also, every president.
It would seem to be endless.
Yeah. Endless. So I think the answer is we endlessly try to patch this thing. And it can be patched. I mean, you can get this thing to work in time. I mean, but it won't work very well, and it won't solve the basic problems that we began with.
But, I mean, isn't it destined to fail given the fact that so many young people are not signing up?
Oh, they will sign up in time.
You think so? Why?
Not now. You see, the first year the fines aren't very large, but as time goes on, the fines get bigger. At the same time, the president is not a fool. I mean, he's just a very clever guy. And what they'll start to do is they're going to find ways to play with those plans' parameters. so they can get young people to sign up. Make them less costly.
Yeah, but what happens in the interim? You need those young people on board now. This whole thing, the cost side of this, is driven by having 7 million plus folks in the room now, not 4 or 5 years from now.
I sure hope that fund they used to bail out the banks and General Motors is no longer available. Because, I mean, really what we're going to need, according to what everybody's saying, if the economists are right, and they're not always right, I might point out, is that these insurance companies are going to need a bailout, because if they have nothing but sick and old people in the in the risk pools, then they're going to basically be spending more than their premiums say. So the 2015 premiums are going to jump through the roof. So they're going to need some kind of bailout until they can get more young people in there. They're not going to get them the first year, but they're going to get them eventually. But I understand what you're saying.
Well,
and that's going to be very interesting, because at that point, you see, this is where I think Boehner really falls down. I really I just don't dislike him personally, but I don't like him as a leader. Remember when the president came up the hill and said, I need a patch here. I need you to delay the employer mandate a year. At that point, I said, priceless time. You want an employer mandate delay a year. I want an individual mandate delay for a year. Price time.
Yeah,
but he doesn't do that.
But what he's doing is
you remember when you would go in the barber shop, haircut $1.25 with a shave, $1.75. Remember that list? Man, I'd have just thrown it right on the table. I mean, just like he did to him when I would have made him pay for it.
Right.
But Boehner doesn't make him pay.
Yeah, but
he falls back on good governance.
It doesn't matter, because if he can't get it legislatively, he just does it through executive order.
Yeah, it does by fiat.
I don't know that he could have done he came to them on the employer mandate because he felt he couldn't do it on executive order. And at that point, you play hardball. You go hire a lawyer and you take him to court. And if you do that, then the president has to stand down the judiciary. And that gets very interesting. And at that point, you start to say, and by the way, right in the beginning, Justice Roberts, are you going to be cowed again?
Right.
Are you going to be cowed again?
All right.
So, by the way, we wouldn't be in this mess if Justice Roberts wasn't so interested in protecting his hide and more interested in he'd have made a terrible professor. Do you hear what I'm saying now?
Right.
Do you think I would be able to say what I say without lifetime tenure? Right. That's why we gave it to you, Justice Roberts. You need to come up to the University of Maryland, and I'll show you what it takes to have the courage of a conservative.
All right. Well, we're going to leave it right there. Dr. Peter Morici, thank you so much.
Take care, my friend.